So I'm Mariann Bienz. I've been a group leader here at the LMB myself for a very long time. In fact, I'm one of the longest serving staff members at LMB by now. And I've also doubled up as deputy director in recent years. So this is an unusual occasion, as you will be aware, and I thought it would just be interesting to give you a bit of background where the idea came from. So it was actually more than 5 years ago, started on a holiday in the Swiss mountains with Kathy Weston and her kids, when we talked. So Kathy has been a scientist for many years. She ran her own group down in London, in South Kensington, until one day she was a student here in the 80s when I got to know her when I was a postdoc, and we became good friends and stayed friends ever since. So in any case, Kathy one day decided that actually her passion wasn't in the science, but in science writing. So she quit her job and started writing her first book. And it was a book about what was then called the ICRF, the Cancer Research Institute in London. And I read the book because I was interested, and it was a really fantastic read. So I loved it. And I said to Kathy, wouldn't it be great to have a book like this about the LMB? Although there had been quite a few books written already about the LMB from various people. Many of them were a little bit scholarly, that's all right, about perhaps a bit dense, and some even a bit dry. So not really accessible to someone who hasn't got a PhD in molecular biology. So we thought it would be great to have actually a good read. So Kathy liked the idea, and we started having a few ideas because it was clear we needed a new angle, a new idea. Couldn't just go all over the same ground again. So we floated a few ideas, but nothing really convinced us until one day, 2 weeks later, I got an email from her titled Eureka. Hi, Mariann. I had an idea for that book about the LMB. How about writing solely about the women who've passed through there? And Kathy said, oh yeah, no problem. And it's true. As soon as we started thinking of the few names of people, women who were there in the 80s, our contemporaries, who've since gone on to have fantastic careers, stellar careers, top jobs in top universities all over the world, let alone those before them and the many after. We thought, fine, there's definitely enough material, and the project was going to be doable. But I just wanted to make sure that I had my colleagues on board. So I went to talk to Hugh Pelham, who was the director at the time, and brought the idea, and he was immediately on board and supportive. But I thought I should also talk to the others, senior colleagues, including Jan Löwe, who is the director now. He took over a year afterwards. And he too was incredibly supportive right from the start. So we had green light. And Kathy started to write outlines, start interviewing people, start writing, and about 2 years later and a bit, this book was done, was published. And here it is. I hope many of you have read it. Those who haven't, please do so. It is all it promised to be and more, a fantastic read. I absolutely loved it. Well, I may be biased. In any case, there was always the idea that we would launch the book with a meeting where we would invite some of the women who starred in the book to talk about their science. But unfortunately, nature interfered, as you know. we had this blasted virus and we're just ramping up for the second wave. So we had to postpone the meeting. But we decided to launch the book anyway on Zoom, as one did in those days. And we invited the speakers to just give us 3-minute short vignettes about their life at the LMB at the time and how it influenced their subsequent career. And it was actually great fun. It was a breadth of different characters and stories, wonderful to listen to. We also had some general questions now we all tried to answer. So it's 1.5 hours, still on YouTube. So if you missed it at the time or want to hear it again, it's wonderful. I just did it the other day. You will find it easily. Just type in women at LMB and it's right there. It's a good thing to spend a rainy Sunday afternoon in November on a over. So anyway, we postponed the meeting to last year, November. And again, we had one of these new variants that were about to hit us. So we didn't dare to hold it and postponed it yet again. And here we are, third time lucky.